Hi, good evening, everyone. I'd like to call this meeting of the Capital Planning Commission to order Monday, July 28th, 2025 at 6:04. Before we say the pledge, I'd like to ask everybody to stand up and have a moment of silence for the firefighter from Plainville who lost his life battling a fire recently. Thank you. Could we stand now for the pledge of allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Mayor DiMartino,
Here.
Mr. Hyder, Mr. Kurtica,
Present.
Ms. Vidomsky,
Here.
Ms. Ezo,
Here.
Ms. Vobno, and Mr. Gilday.
Here.
This record should reflect there are 5 members present, so you have a quorum, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Number 4, additions, deletions, and adoption of the agenda. I have none. If any of the board members have any? Okay, hearing none. Number 5, public portion. Anybody from the public like to speak?
Hello, this is Brian Hall, I'm Finance Director for the City of Derby. I'd like to talk to everybody a little bit tonight about the agenda. Number 6 is we're going to be discussing the 24-25 LoCIP and capital expenditure plan. This plan looks a little bit different than the one previously. I just want to give everybody a little bit of understanding of why and what happened. As you're aware, LoCIP has very specific expenditures for which you can put it against for that funding. The bulk of what we were planning on using the LoCIP funds for was the firehouse on Cottage Street. There's been some delays with getting that construction finalized. So unfortunately, about $45,000 had to shift into 25-26 to get that completed. That left a bit of a hole as far as trying to figure out where the rest of the LoCIP funds were going to come from. Now, what I did is I went back through all of the expenditures for the year, because again, this is 24-25, this is already done. So there was no, new expenditures, but I was able to find things like hazardous tree removal, putting up fences around the Little League, things that qualified for LoCIP, but were in the departmental expenses. And now I basically reclassed them, pulled them out of the departmental expenses and put them on our list. Why is this important? It's really important because you don't want to run the risk that you have to return any of the grant funds for LoCIP. And the absolute best way to assure that, that doesn't happen is for the Board of Alders, aldermen and alderwomen to pass the capital plan that has all of those LoCIP expenditures and detailed. And so that's kind of what we're proposing today, and why I've asked this board to recommend that the list for the 24-25 LoCIP allocations and other capital expenditures go to the Board of Alders for approval in their next meeting. This should for sure assure us that we have no risks with our LoCIP funds being returned.
Mr. Mayor, can I ask a question about that one? Good. The field house at Cottage Street was originally was 76,110.
That's what we were able to get done this year. The total was about 121,000.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
You got it.
Does anyone have any other questions about the 24-25 plan before I move on to discuss item number 7? Okay. Item number 7 is around the capital items and recommendation for a $5 million bond referendum. This list of items hasn't changed since the last few meetings. It is still comprised of the 2 large dump trucks, the chiller, the HVAC in the library, a rescue truck for the storm ambulance, a fire engine replacement for the fire department, the public safety radio system for replacement, and then a little bit of contingency to get to the 5 million. I sent around a letter from Gary and the rest of the fire department And I've also spent some time talking with Tom and both of them to just try to understand a little bit better of this difference in opinion. And there's also a lot of other questions that were out there about it in general that I was able to kind of do some research on and figure out where is everybody aligned. And so I just want to give you a little bit of some of that knowledge that I was able to kind of acquire. So where's everybody aligned, right? Right now, whether you're aware or not, 151 Olivia, we got two buildings, one with the storms, one with Derby Fire. Very much a team, okay? The same people that are going out fighting fires are the same people that are part of the rescues. They're both volunteers. While the Storms does own the large rescue truck, it is actually housed within the fire department's building, as it's a little bit too big for the other building. The Storms is its own entity, right? So it's its own company. All the equipment is owned by the Storms. So in the past, when the city acquired the ambulance, they signed over the title to the Storms, as it's important from a liability perspective that all of that be very clear as far as who owns what. So in the event that the plan was pushed through as is for the mayor, while the city would be acquiring that large rescue truck, it would then be signing over that to the Storms. The Storms at that point is responsible for all the maintenance of those vehicles. And that becomes their responsibility as it is with their current vehicles. Now, the city gives the last few years $150,000 a year to the Storms to help them with the maintenance of all their vehicles and for support. And the city also pays for the insurance associated with the buildings and the equipment as well. The other things where we can agree on, you know, when there is an incident and there's a fire and a rescue, both parties show up, and the fire is most definitely the incident commander. They're both in charge. This is not for debate. This would not change regardless of where the truck is owned by or not, or which type of truck you go with. That is what it is. The other things that wouldn't change is it's going to be the same people that are volunteering today, doing both today. They're going to still be the same people doing it tomorrow. What would be a little different is that the vehicle that the fire department's recommended, the Akuba, is a little, because obviously it's doing dual purpose, it doesn't have the same room for equipment, for rescue equipment that the rescue truck has, which would require likely another vehicle kind of following along to the scene with all of that additional rescue equipment that would be needed. There's also the question of if the fire department owns the truck, then they have to start to acquire all of the equipment and train people on the equipment, and, you know, maintain that. Like I said, the city's got insurance on both, but ultimately, you know, who owns the equipment, you know, is going to somewhat go with who owns the vehicle, as it makes sense. To get all this equipment, there's a lot of grant writing that's involved to raise the funds in order to fund that. So, you know, there are some other considerations to think about with that. But that said, the fire department's proposal is to basically take in the city 5 pieces of equipment and go to 4. Sorry about that. Both of the vehicles that we're talking about getting replaced are similar age, mid-90s. So both are certainly in dire need of replacement. I think those are the main things I want to talk about that I think everyone's aligned on. While there are certainly other issues that will likely be brought up, I think there was a lot of commonality, and it's great to see how well these teams have worked together in the past to help the Derby residents for all these, you know, and I'm quite confident that regardless of whatever decision is made, you know, the safety of the Derby residents won't be put at any kind of risk. Anyone have any questions for me before I?
I just want to clarify one thing, and I'm sure I'll have the opportunity to ask this again. The last thing you said, I just want to hover over for a second. So we have, I did get the letter from the fire commissioner. I think you just referenced it, and I'm sure I'll have an opportunity to ask again, but the truck that they recommend would not, in theory, in and of itself, replace the aging rescue truck that's currently in storms. Is that correct? By itself?
The Akuba fire truck that the fire department's recommending could be as dual purpose, could be used for rescue and fire.
But would it replace the existing truck that we have with all the equipment, or the one that the mayor is recommending? Do they both do the same exact thing currently without any additional purchase?
As I said, the current rescue truck obviously holds a lot more equipment than what the new one would. But otherwise, generally, there are many similarities between what they would do. I think it would only really make sense to reduce two and go to one. I think if we're gonna, I guess you still could, in theory, have a pumper and a rescue truck and just use it for fires and maybe use it for rescue. Like that could still be a good way to go, even as Gary is replacing some of his other equipment. There'd be nothing stopping him. There's similar costs, right?
Mayor's recommended capital items for the bond. Which one are you recommending?
Yeah, you have to listen for any of what the mayor's recommending. Honestly, I'm staying neutral on this one. As far as what decision you want to make to go with. Okay.
Good, Jerry. Just state your name and,
Gary Parker, Fire Commissioner for City of Derby, 38 North Cole Lane, Ansonia. To answer your question, squads they can be called a lot of different names. I'm using squad for tonight's discussion. A squad is a rescue engine, and yeah, it can carry pretty much everything that they need. Minus some things, and that could be carried on a supplemental apparatus. But the storms have quite a few other trucks that they carry stuff on now, supplemental stuff. It would be something similar to that. We have what we call high repetition, low risk, and it's not really low risk, but the high repetition stuff, basically motor vehicle rescue stuff would carry all that we could need for that. I'd like to just take it back one step here where it started. So we started back in 2019. And the fire department came up with a plan, and it was across the board, and we had people from the ambulance corps at first on the committee. But we came across at the time, the fire department ran 5 engines. And we decided that, looked at it and knew that at some point in time, the city of Derby would not be able to sustain all those 5 engines. So we looked at it and decided that we could take that down to 4 engines without disturbing our response. That actually was done for us in 2022. The 5th engine, which was down at housed at the East End Hose Company, was just broken down beyond repair, and that was taken out of service at that time. And we took an engine from the Hotchkiss Hose. They had 2 engines at the time, one went to the East End. So we're currently, we have one engine at Hotchkiss, one at East End, two at the Storms. The age of those are, that's a ladder truck. Yeah. And they have a brush truck over there, small brush truck. The age of all those engines, with the exception of the newest one, engine 12, which is at Storms, the other three are 1996, 1999, and 2009. So the standard NFPA standard has been at 25 to 30 years for frontline, replace frontline pieces beginning at 25 years. That is now dropped to 20 years. And there's talk of dropping that to 15 years. We're not going there, but with that filter, 3 of our 4 engines are going to be 30 at or nearing 30 years old between now and 2034. And the urgency that I see with this capital plan is the Derby Fire Department needs to get 2 vehicles, two engines at least. And the second engine, the replacement for engine 11 from the plan that I first talked about from 2020 has always been a rescue engine to replace engine 11 and the rescue truck. And to the Storm's credit, they didn't want to go that route, and they have. I'm sure he has a list of that I've heard many times already, and I'm sure he'll recite it. And it's yes, there's things that this truck won't be able to do or carry, but there's not much that for 95% of the calls we go on, and that's what I'm looking at. And I think we can do something that would the whole tone of this conversation changed when the cost of these apparatus, the 2020 conversation, we were looking at engines, new engines be purchased at $700,000. They're over $1 million now. This rescue squad or whatever, it's going to be $1.5 million at least. A new heavy rescue, they're being delivered now at $1.5 million. Aunt Sonia has one ordered, and I think the deliveries later this year or early next year. It's $2 million something. So I mean, it's just crazy numbers, and we're trying to, yes, do service more economically and all that, but the city can't afford it, and we need to have something. We can't just say nothing and just keep waiting for some pie in the sky to come down the road eventually. And that's my spiel. And if there's any questions, I'm sorry I got you guys all riled up, but
Yeah, I do have one question for you. So it's your intent, and I just want to understand all the various,
Yeah.
it's your intent, the 1996 one is coming up on 30 years, the 1991's 27, so, just clarifying, I don't have.
Yeah.
You're looking, in essence, you would be looking to replace the 96 and the 99.
That's
from
correct.
fire department perspective.
Correct.
So it's, okay, so it's more for you replacing those two than it is not having a rescue truck.
It's, if you want to put it that way.
Well, let me rephrase it. So I know there's never a situation where money is no object. But if money was no object, you would probably replace the 96, the 99, and still the rescue truck.
I'm not looking to pick a fight, and I would leave it alone.
No, I'm saying if
No, I'm saying it.
if money was no object, you would do the 96, the 99, and how old is the rescue truck? That's what I'm saying now. Same thing. So that's even older, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So from the fire department perspective, your biggest goal is you want to replace the 96 and the 99. Is that accurate?
They have
Yep.
to be, and then I'll be back knocking at your door, and or whoever commissioner is, will be knocking at your door in a few short years too.
For the 99.
For the ladder and the other engine,
How old is the ladder?
2004.
Thank you. Wow, a lot of cans got kicked down the road.
2034, in 10 years, we're replacing our fleet, most of our fleet.
Thank you so much.
You bet.
Anybody else in the public like to speak?
Tom Leonard, Chief of the Storm Ambulance, 173 Hawthorne Avenue. I'd like to address some of the items in this letter that was sent by the commissioner and the chiefs. Some of these things, I don't know where they came from. Some of them are just not gonna work. How many of you on the board know what an Osprey is? I mean, a military aircraft. It's an aircraft that's made to be used as a helicopter and as an airplane. It's something that basically is thrown together and really doesn't accomplish a whole lot on either end of as an aircraft or as a helicopter. You can't do that. What's being proposed here, this squad, I don't know. I don't know of any of these discussions. I know, and I don't know how many times I've been here before you folks over this issue. It keeps coming back, and we're telling you it's not going to work. Reasons for it. I've had it said to me, and I'll leave it at what it was said. It's the city's truck, and I'll tell you what you can put on it and what you can do with it. Now, if we're going to work collaboratively in operating this vehicle, where do I start? I'm being told this is our truck. You can do what I tell you to do, and that's it. That tells me right then and there that any kind of cooperation ain't going very far. And some of these things in the letter that Commissioner Parker wrote, and I'll get to the squads and the end of the letter first, where the city of New Haven is operating 2 squads. Those are, I think, 6 or 7 years old. About 2020, the city of New Haven went out and bought a heavy rescue. Why? Because the squads weren't working out as well as they should be. Excuse me? All right, no, guys. Oh, okay, because Chief Grant died. Okay, so the city went out and bought a new rescue truck to celebrate, I guess. It's not working. Okay, so anyway, so let's look around and see who else has a heavy rescue. Ansonia. They did away with the rescue truck a long time ago. They took all the rescue equipment and put it on various engines. It ain't working. They're buying a brand new rescue truck to put all that equipment back in one place. Okay. Oxford is getting a brand new rescue truck. Okay. To put all of their rescue equipment on. Okay. I don't know. Why aren't we worthy of a rescue truck? So that's that part of it. Some of the other things in this item, the fire department's drafted a plan to replace their apparatus. That's great. They need to. I'm not going to stand here and tell you we don't need pumpers, but I am going to stand here and tell you that we cannot put a rescue truck and a pumper together. And I'll give one example. Tomorrow morning, across the street here, there's a structure fire. Okay. The rescue pumper shows up. We hook up hose lines to it. We start fighting the fire. 2 minutes later, we got a 6-car motor vehicle accident on Route 8 with people trapped. Who's going to do that? What are we going to have to do? Unhook the pumper so we can get to the rescue on the highway? It makes no sense. The idea that all of our equipment is going to fit on this hybrid is insane. It barely fits in the rescue truck we have now. Okay. I'm being asked to take my equipment that I'm responsible for, that we have as a group here collaboratively worked to purchase independent of the funding from the city and put it on this truck with someone telling me, I'll tell you what you can do and what you can't do. It's not going to work, ladies and gentlemen. This is a terrible idea right from the start. I understand the city's strapped for money. In this letter, it says that a heavy rescue will go for somewhere in the neighborhood of 1.5 to 1.7 million dollars. Okay, well, I'm going to just give you something here. A quote I got on a heavy rescue vehicle. I can find it. New England Fire Apparatus, $1.2 million for a heavy rescue vehicle. This is a quote. Okay, so we're inflating the cost quite a lot. Okay, I'm asking for the Chevrolet of rescue trucks. I'm not asking for the Cadillac. Okay. It also, this letter, and we only got this letter yesterday, just so you know. I was away all week last week. I guess I should have been somewhere where I could access my email, but I wasn't. It says something about who's in charge. No one, and you have copies of our agreement with the fire department, has ever said that anyone but the fire chief is in charge. We don't want to be in charge. We want to do our job. We want to take our truck and we want to go back to the firehouse. We understand that. We are not trying to buck a system here. We're just trying to do our job, and we're asking people to allow us to do that. I don't understand what the big issue is with replacing the rescue truck. It's always been on the radar of some of the folks in the fire department. And it's always been a problem. I've fought this battle before. 35 years ago, that was the battle. You don't need a rescue truck. You need a rescue truck. We've had a rescue truck since 1950. Think about that. 75 years we've had a rescue truck. Okay. Never once has there been a problem. And if there was, it was addressed immediately. We go out and we get our equipment through grants. I think you saw this morning, I got a $26,000 grant for a cooperative operation between the Ansonia Fire, Shelton Fire, and the Storm Ambulance for a drone program. We will have that up available to the incident commander when he needs it. We got $60,000 for Hearst tools last year. A grant. The city of Derby did not have to spend a dime. We have a hazmat vehicle that we got for $250,000 on a grant. We go out and we do this all the time. We're asking for you to do one thing, replace a vehicle that's 35 years old. That's the only thing we're asking you to do. We're not asking you to do this at the expense of the fire department. We're asking you to do that so we can do our job. Any questions? Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time.
Yep, thank you. Anybody else in the public like to speak?
Rich Mazzapo, 108 High Street, Derby. Just a little background, 46 years in the fire department and the Storm Ambulance Corps. 27 years, I was a chief driver at the storms. I sat on truck committees for both the 3 truck committees for both the fire department and 3 truck committees for the ambulance corps for rescue vehicles. The concept of combining the vehicles does not work. We've looked at it. The equipment that's on the rescue truck will not fit on a pumper that they are, the rescue pumper they are proposing. You would actually end up having to buy another vehicle. So now instead of reducing traffic at the scene of a fire or an accident, you're going to increase it. So truck capable of carrying equipment that, of both vehicles, Squad 1 in Ansonia is about the size, and Shelton is about the size of the vehicle you would need to carry all that equipment for both the fire department and the ambulance corps. It just doesn't work. It's just, the dual mission of it doesn't work. That's why there's dedicated rescues in all the surrounding towns that we were around. So thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in the public like to speak?
Excuse me. Thomas Biggs, 41 Bellevue Drive. I'm the current fire chief. I just want to address one thing that Chief Leonard said. If we did have a structure fire here tomorrow and a 6-car accident moments later, we are not going to abandon operations at a structure fire. We will call in mutual aid. I don't want the public to think that we're going to abandon one scene to go to another. That's all I have to say.
You. Anybody else on the public like to speak? Anybody else on the public like to speak? Third and final time, anybody else on the public like to speak?
Gary Parker, just to rebut the fitting on the apparatus. There's no question that everything cannot fit of the heavy rescue. I conceded that. And yes, there would have to be probably a second vehicle to carry some equipment. However, that would be not the norm. The 95% of the calls is what I said the squad could handle without any other assistance. And who's gonna, there's not enough members to come and run the second shift anyways. It's a problem now.
I just have to say this, okay? Which one of you on this committee wants to be in the 5% needing rescue equipment that we have to go back for? The reason the rescue truck exists and all that equipment exists is so that when we show up, we can go to work without needing any more equipment. So I concede, we don't do New York City type rescues every day. But when we've got someone stuck in a tree, when we've got someone trapped in a trench, when we've got someone seriously injured and trapped, our sewer system, every time we go in, we do a confined space entry. Do you want to be the person waiting there for us to say, well, we'd love to get you out of here, but we got to wait for another truck to come? I rest my case.
Okay. Anybody else on the public like to speak? Anyone else from the public like to speak? Third and final time, anybody else on the public like to speak? Hearing none, public portion is now closed. 6, review, approve, and recommend to the Board of Aldermen, Alderwomen, the final 24-25 LoSiP allocations and capital expenditure line items as recommended by Mayor Joseph D. Martino. Discussion and possible action and recommendation to the Board of Aldermen, Alderwomen.
I make a motion to recommend to the Board of Aldermen the 2024-2025 LoSiP allocations under item 6 with the adjustment to the Cottage Street facility. I make that motion.
Made by Mr. Goulet, is there a second?
Second, Sarah.
Second by Sarah. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. Hall, could you just identify the changes? Because I didn't hear you say what the change, was the only one at the fire headquarters, or are there others? So just so that we can.
Yeah, so just to clarify, so we updated the actuals for everything, so, some of the items didn't change, but I think maybe the cost of like the security cameras and stuff like that got trued up. As I said, the 45,000 in Cottage Street got moved out, and then we backfilled with the new fencing for Little League Field and the hazardous tree removal for Public Works, 15,700.
So those three.
Yeah, those three plus, like I said, truing up of the actuals.
Okay, so
And the amount for LoSiP, which we got a little bit more LoSiP money than what we had budgeted.
thank you.
I will let the commission know that the Public Works Commissioner did notify me that the sidearm, which is 29 years old, is down and out for the count. So we will be probably looking at that next month to try to do something with that, because it's a piece of equipment we need. So just keep you
Yeah,
informed of that.
and on that point, right, obviously that is not a LoSiP eligible piece of equipment, and will provide some challenges when it comes to next month. Is that piece of equipment by itself is likely the entire capital budget that we've got set up so far. So that's definitely the big challenge we're going to face in the coming month.
Okay. Number 7, review, approve, and recommend to the Board of Aldermen, Alderwomen, the mayor's recommended capital items for a November 2025, $5 million bond referendum, discussion and possible action, and recommendation to the full Board of Aldermen, Alderwomen.
Mr. Mayor, I have a question for the finance director, if I may.
Yes, sir.
I know the motion here and what's on the agenda is a $5 million bond. But I just want to loop back to a conversation we had previously, because at the end of the day, we do have a truck from 96, a truck from 99, another truck from, it sounds like 1993, and one from 2009, and then one from 2004. So, and again, I recognize, so there's a whole lot of equipment that is old, which is concerning. We had a discussion about doing a financial analysis of the difference between $5 million and a $7 million bond. And I was wondering if we could kind of translate that out to what that means to the average taxpayer. What if we bond out 5 million, how much more an average taxpayer would have to pay if that was bonded out over 30 years? And again, the same analysis on 7. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, so, look, not a simple question, but what I can say is the cost per year is going to go up. It looks like about, again, it'll vary year to year, but $180,000 in the first year, then going down from there, 170, down to 160, and the gap starts to close. But that's about the amount of money you're looking to find each year in the budget to cover the difference between a $5 million bond offering and a $7 million bond offering. It's not enough money, as we've talked about, a mill going up a mill is like $750,000, right? So we're nowhere near, I think, where you have to per se change the taxes to do that. It would be more about probably just making some different decisions around $150,000 to $200,000 when it comes to budget time, and see, can we find that somewhere else, or has our grand list grown enough where just we can get covered from just the natural growth, and we don't need to make any other decisions as far as replacing some other expenditure.
I heard, and I'm so sorry, I think it was Gary, Mr. Parker, say that just 5 years ago, engine was $750, which means it doubled in 5 years in price. So, I mean, I think you can make an argument in future dollars. I think you can make a case in future dollars to do three of the 5 vehicles that need to be replaced at a minimal cost over 30 years. And certainly, if you translate that out into $2,030, probably much cheaper to do it, to get to bite the bullet and do the third now than to wait 5 years. Because that 1.5 truck now may be 2.5 in 5 years. And so, I mean, if there's, it would appear, if I hear you right, that to get that third truck could be potentially $180,000 more a year, ish, in that area. Divided out over all the taxpayers in the town, all the businesses who would benefit from that.
Right, correct. And I agree. And remember too, we're not going to necessarily bond out $7 million right away.
Correct.
You're going to bond that out over time as you need to do it. These larger vehicles have a lot longer lead time. And so, potentially you're 2 or 3 years down the road, maybe, before you have to actually raise the funds for that you're looking for.
I mean, here's the thing for me. I make tea bags. I mean, that's what I do. But a whole lot of people I know and respect are pointing out something very obvious to me, that all of our equipment is old. So I would not be opposed to doing a third truck and going from 5 to 6.5 million. Me personally.
Jim, I think that's a great idea. I certainly think the fire department deserves everything they need. And I do think that the rescue truck is an important piece of equipment in the city of Derby. I don't think one tops the other. I think they're all equally important. The past administration for 6 years kicked the can down the road, didn't have capital plan meetings, They wound up getting turnout gear because they had no choice, because the state came in or somebody came in to force that issue. We're trying here to make it right for everybody. We're trying to get everybody what they need, and we're doing the best we can. And you know, again, I think, Jim, I think that's a great idea, and I'm all for that.
I think too, just the constant transfers. I mean, as a member of the tax board, I'm aware of every single month the need for transfers due to the lack of funds and the requirement to constantly provide upkeep. I mean, if that's all it is, it seems like such a minimal amount. And I totally do understand that Derby has taken a hit, definitely with the tax increase. You know, last year, thankfully, you were able to maintain a flat budget this year. But I do think the citizens deserve this, and we have kicked it down the road for far too long. And, you know, the trucks are only going to get more expensive, and these are too old. At the point where we're funding constant maintenance, you know, what's the difference whether we fund, you know, the new pieces of equipment or continual maintenance that's going to be more and more needed.
Mr. Mayor, oh, I'm sorry, George, you want to say so?
So I agree with my fellow members of the commission here. And I'd like to, if it's appropriate, I'd like to amend the motion of number 7 to say that review, approve, and recommend to the Board of Aldermen, Alderwomen, the mayor's recommended capital items for November 2025 $7 million bond referendum.
6.5, right?
6.5.
6.5?
Yeah.
All right. $6.5 million bond referendum to recommend to the full Board of Aldermen and Alderwomen.
Second that, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, so motion made by Mr. Kurda, second by Mr. Goday. Any discussion? Sarah, you good? No discussion, okay. All in favor?
Hold on, before you vote, so you're adding to the number, but what are the items that are gonna be on here?
Oh, it's an additional, just one additional fire truck, yeah.
So,
No,
but this list, again, this list doesn't even say what fire truck we're even talking about in the first place.
So the motion will be the motion would be the additional 1.5 million would cover the,
Engine
no, the fire engine
replacement.
replacement.
But the first one is what engine? So we just, so everybody knows what we're talking about.
Capital plan, there was 2 engines listed under the fire department, one this year and one next year.
And I understand, but what,
Yeah, what
What-
trucks are we
what-
replacing?
because the bond council's gonna need to know.
It'll be engine, current engine 13. And engine 11, but if all difference, I still like to get a squad type because we need all these high-rise buildings that we're gonna be stacking up on. Some specialty high-rise equipment for that, for those. So if I may. The Chief Leonard, you do have that equipment presently, right? And all your members are trained, everything's certified and everything, so. Commissioner Parker, you know, I don't want to get in the middle of this, but if we already have the equipment, why do we need 2? You know, so the motion on the floor. So,
The motion on the floor.
so the motion on the floor is
Yeah.
6.5 million, right? For 2 pumpers to replace with the commissioner requested engine 13 and engine 11.
And a rescue truck.
And the balance would be for the rescue truck for the Storm's Ambulance Corps. That's, okay, Mark?
That's,
Yeah, I just wanna make sure that.
Yeah, no, we're good.
We get.
any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn at 6:48. Second,
Second,
all in favor?
aye.
Motion carries.